All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another update on Bitcoin, and I'm also going to cover Ethereum today. All right, so today we did see quite an aggressive move to the downside, a pretty big crash, actually. Now, we were expecting this crash, and in the last few videos, I was saying I don't think the overall correction is done yet. And part of the reason I was saying that was based off of the larger market structure that we created. And yesterday, I talked about the volume of this move up here, this whole move up over the past few days. The entire move up since January 1st, we were seeing volume decline overall on the move up, which is a sign that it's a corrective move rather than an impulse to the upside. We had big wicks to the downside in volume. And if we look at our volume candle today, our red volume candle that we had today, we just closed the market 20 minutes ago. But you can see we have a lot of red here. And this is the 4-hour chart here. Let me go to the daily chart. And we're going to look at that pretty big volume spike on red here today. But you can see the volume on this whole push up here, these last few candles, volume was decreasing to the downside. Now, yesterday, at the end, the very last push up into the golden pocket, we did get a pretty big spike in volume. But on a C wave, on a corrective wave, you can see a big spike in volume at the end of a correction. Now, this part of what I was looking at with market structure here is you can see on, let me get rid of this volume, get it out of our way here. You can see we were making higher highs, higher lows, 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 all the way on the daily, all the way this push from really 49K all the way up to 108K. On the daily chart, we were making higher highs and higher lows all the way up. Now I'm going to zoom into this last price action since November 11th. Let me get rid of some of these things here. And we're going to go into this price action here. So we started forming a range kind of, and well, we were forming that ascending channel. We broke it to the downside. We finally came for the 92K triple flash crash bottom lows that I was looking at here on Coinbase. You can see one low here, two low here, the third semi-low here. We finally came down and took those lows, and then we saw the pump up. Now, I was waiting for these lows to be taken in order to see a push to the upside. But because we also broke market structure on the daily to the downside, you can see higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low overall, higher high here, higher low. This was our first lower high here, then a lower low here. That was on the daily. Now we're looking at on a larger time frame. We were making higher highs and higher lows, and then we made a new low here below the 92K lows. So below this range here, we finally took those 92K lows out. So we made a lower low in market structure. Now we could look for a lower high to come in, to put in a lower high to confirm the trend change to a bearish trend, and now we could look for a lower low if this continues to correct to the downside. Yesterday in my video, I did talk about this ABC correction to the downside not being, this is what the highest probability for me was based off the volume of the move up and just based off of really this range here and the back test. Remember that ascending channel, not that one, this ascending channel. All right, I got so much channels here. Let's see here. Not that one. Let's see. There's an this ascending channel here. So remember, we were in this ascending channel. We rejected to the dollar from the top of the ascending channel, which was also the top of the big pitchfork. Remember, this pitchfork was pulled from way down below, so it's been really respected and really trended in this entire bull market. But when we hit those double tops there, yesterday, I talked about this in the video, but if I zoom in here, let's zoom into the 4-hour chart here. You can see, and let me kind of clean some of this up. I'm going to hide this ABC correction now, and I'm going to hide this golden pocket here. You can see that we came up, so we had our very first back test of the channel, couldn't get back in. We had our medium time frame back test of the channel, couldn't get back in. Now that we took those 92K flash crash triple bottom lows, we're coming back up again to retest it to confirm whether we're going to re-enter the trend and continue, or we're going to reject and look for lower targets, and maybe the correction is done of this B wave here. Now it was also in confluence with the golden pocket, which was really important because on a correction wave, to the upside, a B wave, correction wave, the 0.5 to the golden pocket is about the level where you want to look for that wave to reject us from. And we did hit into that golden pocket, and now we're starting to see an aggressive rejection to the downside. This was helped, you guys, by the JOLTS data and the ISM data that came out. It was pretty bad, and it suggested that stagflation might be coming. So that was kind of the catalyst that caused this huge flush here, this candle here. Earlier this morning, we had those JOLTS data and ISM data come out. But that was just the catalyst for it. We had technical reasons why we did reject here. So now I also did see a couple people that I respect that really know their stuff on Elliott waves they were talking about this structure here being, they're not so sure if it's a B wave because of how long it was in time. Well, we have to remember that all of this was happening through the holiday season, through Christmas and through New Year's Day. So a lot of people took that time off of trading, and that's why we could have like an extended B wave as far as time goes, because your A wave here, and you want to see the B wave kind of be relatively around the same, maybe 2 to 3 times longer. This was about 6 times longer than this A wave down here, but that's also could be a reason is because it was the holidays. And now we came up to the golden pocket. We're seeing a rejection here. Now, in our C wave and an ABC correction, in a larger, say this is a larger ABC correction here. Let me get this back on the chart. Say this is a larger ABC correction. One way we can measure the target for that correction is you do a trend-based Fibonacci extension. So you go from the start of A to the end of A up to B, and that's this trend-based Fibonacci extension here. You can see our one-to-one target is about 87,311. Well, also, we have a daily level exactly on top of that. And the daily level is the last daily level of this ascending channel here, which is around the liquidity of the bottom of the range. Remember, I say when we break these ascending channels, oftentimes we drop to the bottom to take the liquidity of the entire channel. All these higher highs and higher lows that have been longing price action with leverage, we oftentimes come down to the bottom of this liquidity. So now we have a major target at about 87.3, where we have a daily level. We have our one-to-one ABC correction target, and we do have the liquidity resting down here of the start of the channel here. So that's a major target to be watching now. Now, within a C wave, oftentimes within a C wave, you want to see a 5-wave impulse to the downside. So if we look at the Elliott waves here and we look at impulsive structure, so we could be seeing just right now today the start of the first wave here. We could come up back to back test this pitchfork band now that we've re-entered it as our 2 corrective wave, which should be on low volume, and that should be a zigzag wave to the upside, like a 3-wave structure to the upside. And then our third wave is our most impulsive and our most aggressive volume-filled wave to the downside. Maybe we take these lows of 91.3 that we had that were, I didn't like these lows. I talked about it the day we made those lows. Then we would see our 4th wave and then our 5th wave down here. Now, this is a sub count of an impulse to the downside within our bigger C Elliott, bigger correction wave. So that's what we can be expecting. So if you do even see a little bit of a bounce here, unless it comes in really impulsive and we start to see that V-shaped recovery, I would expect a lower high to come in, maybe around these highs. The back test of the pitchfork was around 98.5, depending on how long it takes. And then the third biggest impulse to the downside in that third subcount Elliott wave there. We could see that happen, and we're just going to be watching now for this, but we did lose a lot of structure today. Now, yesterday, I'm going to zoom in here onto the 15-minute chart, because in my second update video that I made yesterday, I talked about this swing failure pattern. And gosh, if I was at the charts, I would have taken this swing failure pattern short right away, because we had our high from this last big impulse up here, this last big push up. And we did hit into the golden pocket there, which was the back test of this bigger channel, this bigger ascending channel. I'm going to take this off the chart now so you can see how well of a bearish back test it was of that bigger ascending channel. But when we confirmed this swing failure pattern here, that told me we were at least going to come down to take the liquidity at the bottom of the range here. If you guys remember yesterday's video, I was talking about the back test of our big range, our volume of our big range. So if we zoom out here and we pull a fixed range volume profile from the present day all the way to like November 11th here, you can see that our value area high Okay, now it's changed here. But our value area high of that range was around that right here. It was this 100.4K ish. It was about 100.4K here. And so I was suggesting that could be the where we bounced there earlier today. So I'm going to zoom in now on this chart and we're going to look at this. Actually, I think I have the value area high still here somewhere. Let's see. Not that one. Let's do a all right, let's just do this. So we had our value area high here. It actually was a little bit higher than that. There, we came down to it. We actually touched it this morning to the dollar. So I had it on my. If we look at the Discord, I posted it real time. We did see a bounce from that value area high touch. It was actually right up on this candle here, like this. We saw the touch from the value area high. We just got a very small bounce, and all through here, all this corrective price action here was right before the JOLTS reports came out. And the way we were dumping here, I posted real time in the Discord. This kind of looks like a bear flag to me. We saw a little bit like this kind of pull structure down, and we were kind of making an ascending channel within this little price action here, and it just didn't look good to me. So when we started rolling over on this here, and you saw that's when the big dump happened. The JOLTS report came out. We dumped straight through it. We re-entered back within the value area of the bigger range, which was important. That means that we were confirming re-entry to the value area of the much bigger range here. We did come down to our second box, our second purple box, which was the back test of this band, the anchored VWAP, and we did see a bounce here, a little bit of a bounce here. And I did post about this real time in the Discord as well. This was during Jason's live stream today. He was live streaming, and we were looking for a small bounce from here, but we came up on low time frames. We hit the pitchfork band, rejected, came back down, bounced from the anchored VWAP again, rejected a second time from this pitchfork band, and that told me that we were probably going to be expecting lower, that this wave one wasn't quite done yet. And then you see we lost this anchored VWAP. Now this anchored VWAP right here is from the all-time high, and this is still a very important anchored VWAP. So we did, once we lost it on low time frames, we back tested it twice, confirmed it to rejection. So we flipped it from support, confirmed it to rejection twice on low time frames, posted about this real time as well. And then we dropped and made new lows. And now we're starting to form a range down here, kind of this whole price action here. I would say the range you could pull from the end of that big, like that big impulse there, and this range here. And we're going to be looking into this range and kind of trading this range. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a small bounce from here as part of our wave two of the 5-wave impulse to the downside. But we didn't really see too much here as far as major support levels. Let's zoom out here actually on that. Let me get rid of this now. Let's zoom out onto the 2-hour chart. You can see we've also re-entered back within our major pitchfork band that we kind of had been trading in for a long time here. After this anchored VWAP held on Saturday afternoon after the retest of the value area high of this smaller range. Remember, we were also watching this smaller range from December 24th to here. Our value area high here was also the anchored VWAP. When we came back down on Saturday, we back tested that, flipped it to support, and continued higher. So yesterday, I was looking for a flip of the bigger value area high. If we came back down to it, held it as support, and then we could continue up to 104K, but we did not hold it. We crashed straight through it, and actually now we're even crashing back down through this as well, this smaller range value area high, and we're losing the anchored VWAP here. So the anchored VWAP is now being on a higher time frame, maybe being flipped to resistance for us to continue down to the bottom of this pitchfork here. Now, that is where I think we could see a bigger bounce. Maybe our wave one continues all the way down to there. If we do a Fibonacci pull here from the lows of the move up to the highs of the move up, you can see our golden pocket is coming in. This might take some ranging happen, and then we could come down here. So if we start to kind of range within here for a little bit, maybe come back up here, do something like that, see a bigger bounce, and then we see our big third wave to the downside. That would be, this area here is still a major support to be watching as far as right now goes. If you're going to trade that, just expect to take profits at a lower high within this, just based off of bigger time frame analysis. That's at least what I would be doing. You can obviously TP1 and leave, move your stop to entry and leave it just in case this is the low here. But we do see, and we also have our POC that's right a little bit below that as well. So this kind of general area of support here, I would say you could draw a box here. And this area here would be our box of support now that we might just kind of continue to bleed down to here as our wave 1. See a bounce up to the top of the pitchfork band is our wave 2, and then continue down. So like this could be our wave 1, our wave 2, and then our big third wave down to take the 91.3K lows, come back up, retest those, and then come down to 87.3. So this would look something like an SFP into the value area low. Remember, we never hit that value area low either. I was looking for that value area low of the big range at 90.6 to 90K. We never came down and actually touched the value area low. So that could be the end of our third wave impulse at the value area low. Then the fourth wave, we could see a bounce back up to maybe retest these lows that were all through here around 92K. And then come down to 87K is our fifth wave in the C wave. So this is the 5-wave subcount within the bigger C wave of the impulse down. This is just speculation right now. Obviously, we're not there yet. We're not even to this local golden pocket. But this is an area that I would be watching around 95.5 to 95.1, and even a little bit lower to about 95 here. 94.5 is the POC. This box of support is the first support I'd be looking for. If this is the end of the A wave here, and one of the reasons we did bounce where we did today, we kind of saw a bounce, is we had our liquidity grab. Remember, you guys, I always talk about how liquidity runs these markets. You saw when we got the liquidity grab at the highs of the impulse yesterday, we got the liquidity grab and then we dumped. Because a lot of people, let me zoom back into this again, up here at the first time we touched the golden pocket, including myself, when we touched the golden pocket for the first time, I shorted within this area here. I think I shorted around here. Well, we got stopped out because we made a higher high. So a lot of people were shorting in this first part of the day yesterday. Well, the market makers, this was about 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, my time. We came back up. We stopped out. The market makers stopped out all the people that shorted up here, and then we got the real move down. So they hunted our liquidity. It's called a liquidity hunt. They hunted our liquidity, and then they made the move down. Now, we did see something similar to that today, or at least that's why we're seeing a little bit of bounce today. So if we go back to the 1-hour chart, you can see our last big lows. They were actually, it was these lows that we did see a little bit of a liquidity grab on earlier. This was during Jason's live stream, but we didn't get much of a bounce. If we zoom in here, it was only, this was the back test of the weekend lows. And oftentimes on the weekends, you do see if you make a low on the weekend, it's a weak low because a lot of people can't get in. So we came down here on the first low. We did the swing failure pattern. We got the confirmed swing failure pattern, and we pumped back up to the pitchfork band. So that would have been a good scalp. But second, if it was me and I took that, I did not take this swing failure pattern. But the second we started rejecting from this pitchfork band, I probably would have got out of the trade. Or at least TP1 did move my stop to break even, and that's still a win in my opinion. So we rejected from the pitchfork band after re-entering the pitchfork band, and now we're just continuing lower. We do have other liquidity down here as well. We have these lows here that are close. So one thing we could be looking for now, let's go here. Let's zoom out to the hourly chart. Now, these are internal liquidity grabs, so they're not as important as like major liquidity grabs, but we do have some liquidity. You can see we had some liquidity here, and then we front ran it here. So we do have like liquidity in this general area. So an SFP of these into the golden pocket would be nice for the first maybe or major bounce. You know, right now we're seeing a little bit of a bounce, but it's not too strong. We do see the 1-hour momentum wave bottoming out. We got the green dot, so we're starting to see a little bit of a push up, but let's zoom in here actually onto the 15-minute, and let's see if we saw bull divs in here. So no bull divs. We were making lower lows through all this price action. I mean, I guess you could call that, you know, we have the momentum wave here, and I kind of wouldn't call that a real bull div there. But let's zoom into the 6-minute chart. Let's see if we had bull divs on the 6-minute. So we did have some low time frame bull divs. You see we're making lower lows in the price action here. we were making higher lows on the 6-minute chart and our money flow was rising. So that's why we're seeing a little bit of a bounce where we are now, is because we had low time frame bull divs with money flow starting to increase back upwards. So we might see a little bit of bounce from where we're at now, but we did kind of bounce from at least no major spot of support that I had on my charts. That I'm sure there is. I know one of the guys in the Discord talked about that 96.4 to 96K being a level he was looking for long. So whatever level he had there, it at least worked for a little bit of a bounce so far. To me, it's not a major level that I'm watching. We might see a bounce for like a wave 2 if this is the end of the wave 1 now, up to the pitchfork band. But I do expect more downside based off of this bigger impulse to the downside. Now you can see, actually, if I zoom into the hourly chart here, and we're going to turn on the volume again, and we're going to look at that volume in this move down. Look how high the volume is in this move down here. So that is telling me that this is the start of an impulsive correction to the downside. We finished our ABC correction to the upside. Now we're starting an impulse to the downside. Now, when I'm talking about finished our ABC within here, this is a smaller ABC correction wave within the B wave of the larger ABC correction wave. I know that can get a little bit confusing, but there's always subcounts of Elliott waves within major counts of Elliott waves. And that's where I don't like to go into subcounts too much because it gets noisy and it gets messy. So I tend to follow, at least with Elliott wave theory, I tend to follow just more macro price action on Elliott wave theory. But we can expect, at least with this here, to be looking for the impulse down, and it looks like the start of the impulse is getting confirmed with volume confirmation here. We always want to look for volume confirmation. And now what we can do to look for targets here for our 2-wave bounce to the upside, if this is the low here, we can do a Fibonacci pull from our high to our low that we see here. We do have an important back test here already that I can see. So our golden pocket here is at the value area high of the much bigger range, the range since November 11th here. So if we do see a little bit bigger of a push up, now I would first be looking at this pitchfork band here, and let's look at this pitchfork band. Let's look at the 382 here. Strong trend. Yeah, it's around that pitchfork band. So if it takes some time, so if we start to range and it takes some time and it comes around over here, we can expect something. This is the first level I'd be looking for the bounce to end. If we do see a bounce, come down here, come up here, kind of do something like this, and then come down. Now, I don't like this as the end of our wave 1 of our subcount down. I would much rather come down to this purple box here, see a bounce there, and then we go up. But we do have our golden pocket right now. If I do this golden pocket pull again, you can see our golden pocket is aligning with our prior highs that we saw on December 24th, which these are kind of the top of our range of this smaller range here. So that's valid. And then we have our value area high up there of our much larger range. So this is definitely a box of resistance I would be watching up here as well. All right. We do have to watch very locally the rejection of our value, our anchored VWAP again from the all-time highs. So this anchored VWAP has been highly respected on the charts all the way down. You can see we rejected it pretty much all the way down. Even here we wicked past it and kind of saw like a failed auction type price action, but we did reject it and continue down. So now that we're losing again, we might back test it as resistance and continue down to finish our wave 1 and then maybe see a push up to here. Now, we can do a theoretical golden pocket pull. This is just purely theoretical right now, you guys. Say we do bounce from our golden pocket and our back test of our band there. So our golden pocket is still coming in around those highs there, the value area high here, and our prior highs at 99.9 here. These prior highs here. So we can mark that as our prior highs that are important. It's right in that area. So yes, that still would be valid if we dropped a little bit lower down here. That's theoretical right now, though, because we haven't dropped to that yet. All right, and then let's change this from the golden pocket to the 786. Let's look at that. So our 786 is close to our value area low of the smaller range here, this range here. Hmm. I think this pitchfork band and golden pocket is much more important. We also have our POC close by, so I think this box is a level to watch for a bounce. The problem with bouncing where we're at now, seeing a real bounce from where we're at now, we might start to just form a range. If we do this here, we could just do something like this, come up to the anchor VWAP, maybe start to form a range for a little bit, and then continue the wave one down, and then see our bigger bounce, and then continue for a wave three. So that's kind of what I want to see, but the market doesn't care what you want. Let's zoom out to the 4 hour chart. Now, you guys, one thing that I was really disappointed about yesterday is when we came up to this macro golden pocket up here at like the 1024 area, we did not see bear divs up there on 4 hour time frame, and I wanted to see at least 4 hour and 2 hour bear divs up here. That's why in yesterday's first update video I was saying that Bitcoin is looking strong. Even though we're there, we don't have the bear divs, and we might continue higher. Obviously I was wrong on that, but usually you want to see bear divs up there. Now, our 4 hour chart, our momentum wave is still just curving to the downside. We haven't even bottomed out on the momentum. Money flow is starting to kind of round out here though. We might start to form a range where we're at now. And this is around the value area high here of this range, of this smaller range here. So we could just form a range within this little area like I just showed, and then drop down to this. Let's go out onto the daily chart and let's look at the daily here. Now, we do have a new confirmed daily resistance up at this area here at the 102, 200-ish level. All right. So our daily, okay, this is, we did have the bear divs through here, higher highs up through here, lower highs on the momentum wave, which confirmed our bearish divergence on the daily. And then after you break and make new lows, because market structure change, we're looking for a lower high. Well, oftentimes on a lower high, you'll want to see a trigger wave top out. So a trigger wave is a smaller wave after these bear divs kind of confirmed. So we're seeing the daily possibly top out here on a trigger wave at this golden pocket, and then start to roll over and continue down. You can also see money flow is now curving to the downside. So money's coming out of the asset, and it's a larger kind of flow of money flow topping out and curving to the downside. So to me, it looks like we could continue down. And this correction will take a few weeks, you guys. You can see through here the A wave took from the 17th of December all the way to January 1st. Really, it was December 30th, but it was like January 1st. It was really late at night when this happened. So, and then this took a week or so to happen as well, 10 days or so. And so now we might expect a couple weeks of downside here overall, with bounces, small bounces in between, of course. But this 87.3 target is looking really good now for this bigger ABC to correction to end. Now, I do not think the bull market is over, you guys. I do think that once we hit this 87K, maybe even come a little bit lower to the pitchfork midline around 83, 84, depending on when we hit it. 85K. Remember, we do have the liquidity grab of the entire ascending channel here at like this 85K-ish area. So depending on how long it takes, if we do a swing failure pattern, grab the liquidity at the very bottom of this into the pitchfork midline, and then we could see a move up to hopefully come for new all-time highs. Bitcoin still overall is more bullish than bearish. This is just a correction after an impulse wave. These corrections can take time to play out, and they can be scary, and a correction can drop 20%. So we expect this. We expect this kind of price action to happen. Bitcoin's volatile. That's also what we love about Bitcoin. So that's kind of my analysis for Bitcoin today. I kind of would be watching this purple box of support. So let's zoom back in here. This area here, which is our golden pocket as well. Let me change this back to the golden pocket. So this area here is this purple box I'd be watching as our first major level of support to be watching. And then right now our resistance is up here, but it's also this pitchfork midline. And look at this pitchfork midline is also the POC of the much bigger range here as well. So we have that confluence here. And then it was also our 382. It was our 382 was a little bit above it, but that's an area of resistance as well now here, hitting back into our major POC and our major pitchfork midline. Let's check the session volume profile. Okay, so we do have up near those 100.4s more confluence up here. We have that naked daily there. Actually, you know what? I think there's something wrong with my session volume profile. I don't think it's showing daily naked POCs, but I'm gonna look into that afterwards tonight. So I do have the PVP on my chart as well, which I have it set for the daily. This is the periodic volume profile. So this is measuring naked daily points of control. All right. So down in this area here, was that our 786 down there? Yeah, okay, so the 786 at 93, excuse me, 93.7. We do have some confluence down here with this naked daily down here at 93.7. It's also the 786 of the bigger move. So that's an area to be watching there as well. But I do think this is still more important. This first purple box here is still more important. If we bounce here, then our third wave, if our third wave really is impulsive, we might just bust straight through this or just see a scalp from here, like a small intraday scalp level from here. So let's keep an eye out for that. We can at least leave that on the charts here. Of course, we did create some fair value gaps in this dump down today because you can see what a fair value gap is when you see a lot of volume within a candle where it kind of, you have this big body where there's not other candles kind of wicking within that. So this fair value gap was pretty big here. That's kind of a huge fair value gap though. So I would zoom into like the 1 hour chart here. Let's zoom into the 1 hour chart and let's look. The start of our fair value gap on the 1 hour is in our purple box. And then we also have another fair value gap within this purple box, but I would probably even be looking down to the 15-minute chart here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't like those. We can still check our pivots again, our weekly pivots. So, okay, this is why we're bouncing where we're at as well. It's a major weekly pivot here. So it's our pivot of the entire week. So this is why we're bouncing at 96.2 where we're at right now, because it is our pivot point here of the entire weekly price action. And these are Fibonacci pivots. So these are based off of Fibonacci. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Fibonacci. It's mathematics genius there. And so, yeah, we dropped down to the pivot point here. We lost our R2, we lost our R1, dropped down to the pivot point. That's why we're seeing a little bit of a bounce here. And then we might come up to here, or we might just start to range in a smaller range here and then come down to this bigger purple box. All right, that's it for Bitcoin. I'm going to move on here to Ethereum real quick because we did see a really nice trade from Ethereum. So let me turn off these pivot points here. And Ethereum is just respecting the TA so well. So in yesterday's video, I talked about how I created this ascending channel just based off of this little last price action, this upwards and sideways grind to the upside. And we had many touches on the top of our channel, 4 touches before. And so I knew the top of this channel into our purple box of resistance that I drew for you guys. I think I showed this 4 or 5 videos back. And I said this purple box of resistance is going to be a major resistance to be looking for. And we hit right into our purple box of resistance, which was the bigger golden pocket. It was the top of our smaller channel, and we got the huge dump out. Now, oftentimes when you see a dump out of an ascending channel, the ascending channels are more likely to break to the downside. Sometimes you see that big volume flush to take all the liquidity all at once. Well, we did that. We kept dumping even more. The beginning of our pitchfork band didn't even hold us very well here. So we dumped back into our pitchfork band that, remember, Ethereum was holding this pitchfork band. So I'm going to zoom out here onto the 4-hour chart. And I'm in my video yesterday. So now I'm going to hide this channel here. So clean up the charts here. Remember, I talked about this pitchfork band. The bottom of this pitchfork band held many, many times through this whole range here. This is kind of the same range that Bitcoin was in from December 24th all the way till New Year's Day. Ethereum was holding the bottom of the pitchfork band that entire time. Well, today when we dumped, we came right back down to the pitchfork band here. And I believe it's probably a 7862. So if we go from the last low there to this high here, okay, it's probably the lows here then. No, we didn't even we front ran the 786 or we overran the 786 on this one. What that tells me is that we might see a small bounce from the bottom of the band. It has been holding historically support really well. And if I zoom in here, you can see how nicely this pitchfork is holding its support. Like hit into it once, hit into it twice, hit into it 3 times on low time frame, and it's holding as support right now. But if we do make a bounce from here, we got to be looking at the top of the pitchfork band. Now that we've re-entered the pitchfork band, it is going to act as a resistance. If we do a fib pull right now from the highs to the lows here, and let's go to our 382, which 382 often acts as support and resistance in strong trends. So a couple things I see here. You see this blue line here. This is our VWAP. This is a daily VWAP. So it snaps to price at the end of the day, which for me was about an hour ago. And you can see our VWAP close. So VWAP closes are important because that is almost like a magnet as well. We have our average weighted volume price close from yesterday, which was about an hour ago, because it's UTC time frame in the markets, is right at our 382, and our pitchfork band is right around there as well. So this is going to be our first local box of resistance here. If we do see kind of a bounce and a range start to form here, we also have our highs here, our little dead cat bounce highs here. So we could see the swing failure pattern of these highs. Oftentimes you'll start to, after a big impulse down, you'll start to form kind of a sideways range. And just like we saw on Bitcoin yesterday, you can take out the highs of the range and then come down and take the liquidity of the lows of the range. So we might just do something like this, come up here, take that into the purple box, come down here, do something like this, and then continue down. All right, let's zoom out again. Let's look. Actually, before we do that, let's change this now to our golden pocket, and let's see if we have any confluence here at the golden pocket. Let's zoom out to the 4-hour chart. Well, we can see that part of the reason we're bouncing now, it's around the POC of this smaller range, which is the bottom of the pitchfork band here. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a small bounce from here. I still do like this value area low here into the weekly, and it's also all right below all these semi-equal lows. So there's a lot of liquidity from all the people that long this range, this part of the range here. So we do have this nice box of support here, down here, which would be nice to take about here. If we do the bigger fib pull, let's do a fib pull from these actual lows to the highs here, and let's put on the 786. So our 786 is a little bit below that. Not so nice there. Go back to the golden pocket. So one thing that I don't like here is we're front running our golden pocket with this. It would have been nicer to wick a little bit lower past our pitchfork band into the golden pocket and hit the 618 of the golden pocket before we're starting to see this bounce. Oftentimes when you front run something like this, a golden pocket or swing failure pattern level, the next time you come down, you might not hold it. It might just bust straight through it. So that's kind of a little bit more bearish there to see that. Coming back to this price action here to see a retracement. Let's see. Let's bring this to the 0.5. Okay, so a 0.5 is a correction target. Now remember, this is like a wave one down and a sub count, just like with Bitcoin. Sometimes your two wave comes up to the 0.5, which is around the top of this band. So this purple box here, we could do something like this here, which is the close of our anchored VWAP from yesterday, our pitchfork band, and our 0.5. This could be a local level of resistance here, and then we might continue down lower. I still, just like Bitcoin, I would like to come, for Bitcoin, I would like to come into that pitchfork band, into the golden pocket, and for Ethereum, I would like to come down to here, this value area low and weekly here, just a little bit lower, or our golden pocket was just right above that of the big pull, the one I just showed you guys. So wave one might not be completely done here. You can see our 4-hour is still, we still got some momentum coming to the downside here. We haven't bottomed out in the 4-hour. So we might start to form a little range for a few hours here and then continue down to here, just like with Bitcoin. All right, so our major support level still down here. Let's zoom out on that. Go on to the daily chart. So yeah, that's just our SR flip from all these. You can see it was resistance here. Once we broke it to the upside, it was support, 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 support. Broke it to the downside, resistance, 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 resistance. So now this has just been a major, this box here has been a major support resistance flip. We do have our golden pocket here within that area. And that golden pocket is from these lows here all the way in August, all the way to the highs. And actually we can, oh yeah, they're up to the current highs. So this area is our major support. I do have this here as SR flip, but it's the same thing as the box pretty much. It's just a more refined version of that. If we do our volume profile pull of this lower range here, this lower price action, you can see our value area high is right around that box as well. It's a little bit below it. And let's zoom out. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. Let's zoom out here into this price action here. This does, guys, kind of look, at least on Ethereum, kind of like a head and shoulders, which a head and shoulders is a topping reversal pattern. So you have your right shoulder here, your head here, your left shoulder here. Our left shoulder does often reject from the golden pocket, and we're rejecting. So if we lose, and what we want to do to get more precise measurements on this, you could do this here. So our left shoulder here, we'd bring it down to these lows. Our right shoulder would go to the high down here, our flash crash, and then our left shoulder come here. And then so our neckline would technically be around this area here when they actually connect. That's kind of low though. And then if we break that, you can expect the measured move is quite a big move here. So I don't know if I'd be trading solely off of this. Actually, let's look at the volume on this as soon as we're done doing this. That's a big drop to the downside. It would be around these lows though here. All right, let's go into volume. Yeah, I don't like the volume so much on this volume confirmation for a head and shoulders. So I don't know if I would trade this as a head and shoulders. You'd want to see volume decreasing from left shoulder to head to right shoulder. And we see some pretty big spikes in here. Let's look real quick at our session volume profile. Let's zoom in here to the 4-hour chart. All right, so we do have that session volume profile around this area as well. It's a little bit below that. And our golden pocket pull. So from the highs that we created yesterday to the current lows, our golden pocket, we do have some confluence. Actually, it's not even there. Let's look at 786. Okay, I don't like that. Never mind. Let's look at our PVP. Okay, nothing really there. We do have that one right below us that's still naked here. And that would be into our golden pocket, actually. So that golden pocket pulse, let me show you guys this again. So if we go from the lows here in August to the highs that we just created, we turn on our golden pocket here. You can see that actually, so this golden pocket is kind of important. It still might hold even though we front ran it. We do have that naked daily point of control right within this golden pocket. So I would say that is a area of support as well, just right below us. So this, if we bounce to this area, like kind of form a range here for a few hours and then come down here, that could be the end of our wave one. Let me turn this off. All right, and then one thing that I was looking at here as well on this kind of price action here, so let me get rid of this. I disregarded this kind of price action here, and from this area here, from this low, I was looking at a channel here, like this channel here, and then we pulled it up to here. You can see that it was pretty well respected. The midline's been respected really well. Now, we did front run the top of that channel just a little bit, but we hit it. That's because we hit into our golden pocket and our other purple box and our smaller ascending channel that I was showing you guys at the beginning of this. and we looks like we're trying to lose it now, and we're back testing it. So let's go in here onto the 12-minute chart. Yeah, all right. So back tested it, rejected, back tested it. We're trying to get back within it now. If we get back within it and confirm it, we might be able to make a move up here. Overall, though, it's still looking a little bit bearish, and we might come down to our golden pocket here, which did have that naked daily point of control in there, so we can mark this out. If we just continue grinding down here to this area. 12-minute, we're topping out on the momentum waves, and our money flow is starting to curve back out again. So this is a little bit looking like we might continue a slow grind down. 1 hour, no bull divs here. Actually, let's zoom back into the 15-minute chart, and let's see if we saw any bull divs through here. I mean, you kind of saw the same kind of weird bull divs that Bitcoin did, where it's like not really defined momentum waves, but it is a low, a higher low here, a higher low here, while we were making lower lows on this price action. That's part of the reason why we are seeing a small bounce from our pitchfork bottom here. If we zoom into the 6-minute chart, yeah, we were getting the same kind of bull div. So you can see all through this price action here, we were making lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum waves, and then our money flow started to curve up again as well. So that's why we're seeing a little bit of a bounce from the support level of this pitchfork down here. But it's not looking too strong, guys. Look at how low the volume is on this bounce. So you see from this bottom of this pitchfork bounce here, look at this volume here. This is pathetic in my opinion. Super low volume compared to the impulses down. Anytime you see an impulse down and you see a bounce with super low volume like that, it's a corrective structure. And look at, we're starting to drop now, and the volume's actually increasing on this drop just from this local area here. Actually, I do see a small channel that we're forming right here, right now. So if we do this, we bring it up to here, you can see that's a smaller channel that we're kind of trading in right now. You can see, yeah. So that's just super micro time frame stuff. I would expect to move down to this area here. Let's zoom out to the 4-hour chart real quick. 4-hour, our momentum is still not really showing a bottom here yet. Money flow is starting to flatten out though, but sometimes what happens with that is it flattens out, goes sideways for an hour, and then just continues down, or a 4-hour, couple candles, and then continues down. So let's watch that. One thing that we were seeing yesterday, and this is what I wanted to see on Bitcoin. We didn't see this on Bitcoin, but we did see it on Ethereum. So as we came up into our golden pocket here, we saw the 4-hour bear divs. This is why this was so nice, and I was looking for this to be such a big resistance, and sure enough, we rejected. If you guys took that trade there, you're already in massive profits. You could TP1, move your stop loss to entry. It's a guaranteed win, and let the rest ride for lower. But you saw the bear divs here. So all through this ascending channel that I showed you guys earlier, we were making higher highs. Momentum waves here making lower highs. So that was a bear div. Now, we did have money flow increasing pretty aggressively on the bear divs. That's not ideal to see on bear divs because money flow sometimes can overpower the bear divs there. But the bear divs did end up playing out here. Anytime you see 4-hour and above bear divs, pay attention to them because eventually they will play out. Just like on the weekly, when I first made this channel in the back of the beginning of December there, I was kept talking about those weekly bearish divs and how we were getting to the top of the pitchfork and the top of a major daily ascending channel with weekly bear divs and multiple drives of bear div on the daily. That was my confirmation to start looking for larger shorts, and it did play out. All right, so now we do have, if we keep looking here, we have these last internal lows here around our anchored VWAP. Let's zoom out here onto the daily chart. Yeah, do you guys remember I was talking about this level here around 3,000 to 2,950 being a major support level because it was a golden pocket into the liquidity grab there. Now, our golden pocket's changed because we made new highs. But if we go from here to this area here, actually, it hasn't changed. Yeah, that was the rejection from the pitchfork midline. So this area of support is also major support. Is this area here and this area here are major support levels because You can see on the daily time frame, we had a bunch of semi-equal daily lows right all through here. So a lot of people were longing in through here, and they wrote it up. If they still have their stops below here, so we have a lot of liquidity into our golden pocket, and it's also the anchored VWAP from our lows down here, our major lows from August. And it's also the pitchfork, the bottom of the pitchfork, depending on how long this takes. So if it takes a few days, maybe till like January, the third week, January 21st here, obviously in these ABC corrections, they take a couple weeks to happen. So if it takes till about January 21st here, we're going to have the bottom of the pitchfork, the golden pocket, the anchored VWAP, and our liquidity grab. So this is also another major level I would be watching here for a support. And then, of course, we do have our major support resistance flip down here with our bigger golden pocket as well. So that's kind of the local trades I'd be looking for on Ethereum. The retest of the pitchfork band bearishly now. Let me hide this channel now. Yeah, now we do have this liquidity. See, this wick here was a really bullish wick on the daily. So the liquidity at the bottom of this wick is going to be important for us. This SFP is kind of far away from this one, though. So it might be a small bounce there. Let's see if we have anything there as far as just from this low here. Oh, I'll fix that in a second. From this low here to that high, let's look at the 786. No, it's not even there. It's not even going to be the 886. So, all right. Yeah, it's too close to the bottom there. We probably do have a range point of control in there, though. So if we zoom in onto like a 4-hour chart, and we're going to go to this price action here of this last range that we were seeing here. If we do a volume profile pull of kind of this range here. So our POC is, yeah, right at the bottom here of this wick here. So, and that wick is the big daily wick that we're talking about. So our POC is right at it pretty much. It would actually be nicer to swing failure pattern into the value area low of that range though. And if you guys know anything, prior range value areas are levels of support and resistance to watch. If you watch Frankie Candles, another shout out to Frankie Candles, he shows this consistently all the time. Prior ranges, value areas are respected still as levels. So even though this was a small range here, it was our last range before our last big push up. So this is an area to be kind of watching. And the only reason I'm saying that is because we also do have the liquidity from this down there. This was like kind of a flash crash liquidity grab here. Or a flash crash with now lots of liquidity down there. All right, so that's the Ethereum technical analysis for today. I will go into some other altcoins. I'm going to make another video on that. But I hope this helps. We are just expecting kind of starting to form a range here. After a big impulsive day like this, I do actually want to see a little bit lower. I do want to see this continue a little bit lower, but we could range for like the night and then maybe Asia open, which actually it's already opened. We could see us continue down to this area here. So let's watch that. Let's watch for that. And then we'll watch for bigger like retraces to the upside and then bigger drops to the downside. All right, everyone, have a good day. I hope this helps a little bit.